It's rare when simply a description of an item makes me want to buy it. A fever-grade car bio-powered amplifier? What?
And this is nonsense.
Good evening, friends. Dick Riculus here, reporting live for WBIGD TV. Today we're going to talk about another product. We're going to have Big D test, prove if it's true, if it's false, if it's right, if it's wrong, if the manufacturer's leading you down a path of destruction, if they're just plain out lying to you. We are here and we're going to report it, because that's what we do. Dick Riculus here, WBIGD TV.
We know sometimes there's difficulties in translations, but this one's got to be the worst ever. This $55 4-channel amp on Amazon says it's a bio-machine power amplifier in one step. It has super power, combination of hardness and softness, voice quality level, the favorite of a fever car friend.
I've had it with you, and I've told you that before. I'm not playing games.
It's rare I come across a product like this that just intrigues me totally from the description. So this is obviously a car audio amplifier. It's a 4-channel car audio amplifier, but after reading that description, I just decided I had to get one. So we open up the box here, not a whole lot going on, but check this out. An owner's manual. That's right. This is what you need when you got a mortgage, when you owe credit card debt, when you got student loans. Check out the owner's manual. No, but really, I think it's missing the N because this is the owner's manual. But anyway, it sounded funnier the other way. So not a whole lot going on here. It shows you how to series and parallel wire, shows you how to hook up the amp. Also gives you the ratings, 45 watts by 4 at 4 ohms, 60 watts by 4 at 2 ohms, or 120 by 2 bridged at 4 ohms, which doesn't sound ridiculous for this size amp. So let's get back to the box. We'll cut the tape here and dive in. Take a look at the amp, but first let's look at the accessories. It comes with 4 mounting screws as well as an extra fuse, which there's no place on the outside. You'll see that here in a minute to put the fuse. So here's the amp. So the first thing you might be wondering is, wow, that's pretty cool. Check out those Chinese symbols. What the heck do those mean? Well, I thought the same thing. So I got out my phone, took a picture of it. Yeah, the top one says Little Bully. What? And then we check the bottom one and it translates into New Bio Machine. Now we see where they got this Amazon description. And just to confirm, let's pull up the Amazon page here. You can see this is what the manufacturer provided. Small bully, they have for the name of the amp, and new type of bile duct. That sounds intriguing. Also, due to the limitation of the environmental pattern of the back door, the sound is not as good as that of the front door in any case, so the investment is enlarged.
Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth?
I would say probably not, but we need to move on to the day's main course, the amplifier. Here on the left, you can see high-pass filter, 120 to 3 kHz, high-pass, low-pass, or full switch, low-pass filter, 50 Hz to 250 Hz, and then a switch from 12 dB, 6 dB, or 0 dB, also a gain control. We have RCA inputs and outputs. Also, we have a gain control, a full or high-pass switch for the front channels, and 120 to 3 kHz. Also a protection and power LED in the correct colors, green for power, red for protection, the flyover shot. Here on the opposite side, we have connections for the ground, remote, and B+. These are all screw-down terminals that you need fork connectors or bare wires. And we also have front speakers and rear speakers. Also, the amp is bridgeable, so you can use it as a 4, 3, or 2-channel amp. You can see here the outside terminals are for bridging, right positive and left negative. But what's really weird is the right is on the left and the left is on the right. But we kind of expect that with this amp based on everything else we've seen. Here's the amp in the manual, all the good stuff. What about the dimensions? 11.8 inches for the length, 8.3 inches for the width, 1.8 inches for the height. Now, I know you want to see what this incredible bio machine is, but we'll see the interior shots later, so make sure you stick around for that. Now, we're going to fire up the amp dyno and test the power output of the amp. If you haven't seen these tests before, I'm going to leave a link in the video description so you can go find out what all these numbers mean, what all these different tests mean. It's more helpful than me trying to explain it every time.
This here's my favorite part.
Since the amp is a 4-channel, the first test we're going to show are going to be all 4 channels. 2 of them are going to be tested with the dyno. The other 2 are going to be on resistors. Amp is rated 45 watts by 4. It doesn't tell us at what voltage. Certified test first at 1 kilohertz, we get 45 and 39. So we're averaging about 42 watts by 4. A little bit under the rated, but not much. Uncertified test takes us up to the clipping point. You can see we got virtually the same, just maybe a watt difference or so total. Dynamic power sends a pulse tone into the amp of a 1 kilohertz signal. Typically gives you a little bit more output than the other two tests, and you can see here it does just a little bit. So efficiency wise, 57% for this amp, about what we expect because it is a class AB amp, and you'll see that when we show the interior of the amp later. 2 ohms 4 channel, it's rated 60 watts by 4. Again, I don't think this is an obscene number by any means that it's rated. Doesn't quite get there with both channels, but not too far off, 61 and 52. Uncertified test again up to the clipping point, and just barely a little bit more, 63 and 52. Now let's try the dynamic test and see how much more we get. A little bit more power, 80 watts and 66 at 14.15. What about the efficiency at 2 ohms? It's dropped even more, of course, 46%. It's not very good, but it is expected. Now we bridge the amp using the right positive, left negative on each channel, and both of these are going into the dyno. Amplifier is rated 120 watts by 2. Again, no voltage specified. We're trying to stay right around 14-ish volts or so. So here we go, certified test first. We get 116 and 105. So not very far off from that 120. It's actually pretty close. Uncertified, can we get to the 120? Let's see. Yeah, on one channel, 121 and 110, right at 14 volts. Dynamic test. Looks like both channels get well above 120. So again, the amp is not obscenely rated. It's actually not too bad rated. But efficiency wise, 49% at 4 ohms bridge with 1 kilohertz. Now, made me think about, what about 40 hertz? See if there's any difference here using the 40 hertz signal. Let's run all these tests again. Certified first, and you can see quite a bit difference. 91 watts versus 116. So yeah, the 40 hertz signal is a little bit harder on this. Again, decibel watt wise, it's only about 1 decibel difference. So I don't think you'd actually be able to hear the difference here in what we're showing. But it is interesting to show you the difference between the 40 hertz test and the 1 kilohertz test. So that's why we do this. Dynamically, we still don't get that 120, get 109 and 98. So total, we'll show all the different results. I just showed all the tests here. You can pause this if you want to see anything again. It got close, statistically close enough to call it a pass, I guess. I would just wish, it would actually get its rated power in a little bit more, but it is what it is. I know through the ads earlier in the video, you probably saw the gut shot a little bit, but we're going to show you a closer look of the internals of this amp. Take off the 6 screws on the bottom, pull the bottom plate up, and you can see, here it is. Definitely a single-sided circuit board with a lot of through-the-hole components, a few surface mount components, 1000 microfarad 35 volt caps for the speaker rails, 25 volt 1000 microfarad for the power supply. There's also some Elna caps here, 10 microfarad 50 volts. Don't know about that. Also, here are the valves, or the tubes that you might say. And are they really active in the sound circuit? Not too sure about that. Let's fire the amp up and see it work in action. Got on your jackets, feeling the blues? Let's hit it up. Need some ice to cool you down? Let's hit the ice flow. Here's one of the songs we can actually play back that has vocals. It's called Ice and Fire by King Canyon. So the sound quality I would say was okay. I definitely wouldn't say that it sounded great. It didn't sound horrible. But here you can see from the FLIR, very interesting here. If you look at where the valves or tubes are, you can see they're not heated up at all. And I think that's because they're just LEDs. They just light up. That's all they do. They're not doing anything. So now let's talk about the pros and cons of this amp. Well, it's inexpensive, $55, has RCA ins and outs, close to rated power, almost there. It is bridgeable, 2, 3, or 4 channel mode. And the jokes that you get from the Amazon listing, I'll leave a link in the video description to the Facebook post. It's hilarious. Things to consider: the fuses inside the amp. The tubes are just LED lights, I'm pretty sure. Super thin aluminum heatsink, Class AB inefficiency. Crossovers are not all that flexible. Sound quality is just ho-hum. But I mean, this was fun to find this amplifier that had the funniest description I've ever seen for any Amazon amplifier ever. And it's, yeah, just kind of really a joke. And I hate that it's not a good amp. It's not one that I recommend. Hope nobody actually buys this. But hey, that's what we do these videos for. Till next time, this Big D. I'm out of here. All right, for the little bully we have at bridge, let's try 2 ohms dynamically at 1 kilohertz, just for fun. It's like it may have gone into protect. 156 and 147. Let's check. Yes, we have a red light. There you can see. Now, let's power it off. Power it back on. We have green, so the amp is not blown up. Okay.